Myrtle essential oil has one of the most important effects on the etheric field of any essential oil because it creates a barrier. It acts like a sentinel essential oil. It is an essential oil, but it's a sentinel essential oil. So when we're thinking about it on from the points of view of the aura, we can say, well, we will likely to see changes in the first etheric body close to the regions of the respiratory system. Remember that myrtles, the same kind of family, Myrtiriaceae, as cajeput, as manuka, as tea tree. So these are all tremendously antibacterial oils, and they really work on the respiratory system and the natural defences, and on immunity. Isn't it pretty? I just took my life into my hands, I have to say, when I went to pick this. Let me just blow my candle out. This grows right in front of, smoke. This grows right in front of my most scary beehive. So I didn't intend that to happen. I planted it, put a beehive there, and then didn't expect this. Well, they're called the Ishtar hive. They are beastly bees. So I had to go and fetch that. And it's the first year that it has buried up. Isn't it pretty? And this is probably the most important oil to use if you want to create a defense. So like I say, a defense in the immune system, but also a defense in your etheric system. So if you're doing any kind of healing work or any kind of traveling work or psychopomp work, then myrtle is profoundly important for creating a wall around you. And interestingly, I hadn't discovered this till a long time after I wrote the book, but we know that the Melissae used myrtle in the initiations at the Eleusinian Mysteries. So the head Melissa, the priestess of Demeter Core, would parade with a myrtle staff. So it must have been really quite a big tree, because I think that's about 7 years old and it's still stick-like. So she had a staff, and she would carry a basket on her head. So her title was Canephoros, the basket carrier, which carried the sacred objects. Nobody knows what the sacred objects were, the hiera. I love to think that maybe she was carrying a swarm of bees, but I don't know. Nobody's ever written that. But that seems to me, if you've got a basket on your head, surely it might be a bee skep if you're a Melissa, but we'll see. Well, we won't see, because we'll never know. But also, when you came out of the initiation, then you were given a crown, a myrtle crown. And it's my motto. Anytime you're feeling down, wear a myrtle crown, because it just makes fantastic crowns. I see why that they made it. And this was to say that you knew how to go through the initiation, and the initiation was said to be something that would give you a better experience of this life and the next. So bearing in mind that they were the priestesses of Demeter Core. The core is the maiden who became Persephone. We know that the chances are they were going down into the underworld. So myrtle is really, really important. So it has a really drying effect on the body. So if you've got like greasy skin, for example, myrtle's really good for cleaning it. But it's because it's sharp. And it's a funny oil, because I was taught that you would use it on children who are upset. So there's a gentleness to it. But I always think that if I was going to go up against Cerberus, the staff would be there. My initial response would be the myrtle. Get the myrtle out, just to defend the field. So what we'll see on the etheric bodies is, first of all, of course, on the first etheric body, we'll see it around the respiratory system. But there's a huge force field in the second etheric body. And what's interesting is that's like a wall. So if you douse it, you can see it comes up almost like a whole wall that says anything out there does not affect my physical body, my 3D reality. So it creates a situation where you're able to operate in 2 dimensions. The 3rd dimension reality, rigid, gross structure, very gross. Structure is safe, but then we operate within this field. It doesn't really have that much emotional effect on the mental body. On the emotional body, however, it is really, really calming. So if, for example, you were doing kind of psychopomp work and you wanted to go to the underworld, part of the key to doing that work is to be able to be attached to that person, to be able to hold them in that space, but not to be so overwhelmed by emotion that you have no defenses. So with Myrtle is very good at being able to stabilize the emotional body. So if we saw that just in ordinary therapy rather than psychopomp work, but ordinary therapy, somebody whose emotions were battering them about, teenagers, right? Teenagers who like first love, or or the end, or unrequited love, and it takes over the whole body. Myrtle's very good at being able to stabilize that and being able to say, yeah, just keep that out there, but the physical body stays strong. It also really works strongly on the outer bodies. Again, we have this huge barrier of will, of saying, well, everything that is affecting me negative, from a negative point of view on the outside, stays out. And remember that we're talking about the respiratory system. The respiratory system is all about expression, stops us speaking. This is exactly how we express ourselves. We breathe in and we say our truth. So if somebody has a situation where they become afraid to speak their truth, really in the same way as I was talking about Angelica root, whereas Angelica root warms and dries, this protects and steadies. So it's a really interesting oil to work with. I don't see that many people talking about Myrtle Essential Oil that much, but it is really, really powerful. So how would I use it? Well, I always have a myrtle candle. When I'm doing any kind of traveling work or political sort of meditation work, I always have a series of myrtle candles, because I like the idea that I can make a physical circle around myself with myrtle candles. I also always do a purification bath before doing any kind of work and after doing any kind of work with myrtle. So it's one that I use really, really a lot. It's not really an oil that I would use that much for anointing. It's more for protecting the etheric field outside of my field rather than on myself. But if I do get a cough, then myrtle's definitely up there. Or if everybody else is getting one and I think, right, I need to boost. I never said boost. Medicines control, if you're going to come after me, I never said boost. It just sounded like it. Boost the immune system. So all of anything to do with, I want to build defenses. So if, for example, you have a child who is being bullied, then this is a tremendous oil. Helps them to be more emotionally resilient, stronger, protected, and just kind of ignore it and go on. If you want them to stand up for themselves a bit better, you want to be going Angelica root. But yeah, any kind of situation where you think, right, let's just put a protection up. Similarly, if you think, well, somebody's attacking them, like psychically attacking them, or if you've got an auric parasite or a mood vampire. So there's plenty of people who will actually latch onto your aura, or actually just, you know, just come and drain your energy. Again, myrtle, really, really good. Myrtle in the bath, absolutely fantastic. But yeah, make some myrtle candles, really, really helpful. So if you haven't watched it already, myrtle candle up there. And the next video I'm going to point you to is my mum talking about how she worked with the aura all of those years ago. She studied the aura for 40 years, and she is her work is what supports the work that I'm doing now, writing a whole new course called Luminous Garments. Luminous Garments is a phrase that Hildegard of Bingen used, and she said the angels love the humans in their luminous garments. And I don't think she was specifically relating to the aura, but purely the energy that moves through the spirit, which can be seen as the same thing. So I absolutely love that. So what I would love is for you to comment how you use myrtle, but also what else you want to learn. Let me know in the comments. And also I'm going to put a link to a wait list for anybody who is interested in coming to do the work of Luminous Garments, which is understanding how to use the subtle bodies within your aromatherapy practice.